performing actions. And what kind of actions? Who will answer? What kind of action Krishna recommends that one should perform to be able to link and connect with the Supreme or Him? Please reply. It's a very basic question. Prescribed actions or actions which are for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme God. It's called yagya. Yagya arthat karmano anya. So when one performs the prescribed actions, prescribed by whom? The Supreme Lord and his representative. So by performing those actions, one connects with the Supreme and attains perfection of life. And then Krishna recommends the path of jnana. That by cultivating knowledge which is given by the Supreme Lord himself, that is in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Shastra, Vedic literatures, one can connect to him and reach him. And then here, Krishna is giving the path. Krishna is recommending the path of dhyana, which is focusing one's attention. And how do we focus one's attention? Is by focusing one's mind. So this is the meditative process, which is called the dhyana yoga. But above all, Krishna recommends that although there are these paths also there, Krishna says for this age of Kali, the path of bhakti is more simple and more potent. So we saw in this chapter that Krishna recommended the elaborate process of attaining perfection in this Dhyana Yoga process. And most of it is that one has to focus the mind. The mind should not become restless. So we saw Arjuna is not very much inclined. He is not very enthused of this process, because in this process, Krishna gave the elaborate way of how one has to first perfect his sitting posture. Then one has to meditate on the tip of the nose. He should be in a posture where he is neither in a higher pedestal nor is he too low, and completely controlling his mind and senses. A very elaborate process. And Arjuna says, in the 33rd verse, he says, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable for me, because the mind is restless and steady. And then Arjuna asked that very important question in the 34th verse, that chanchalam himana Krishna. And Krishna does not dismiss this argument of Arjuna. Rather, Krishna agreed, but Krishna gave one recommendation on how to subdue the mind, the restless mind. Krishna gave three things. One has to make endeavor in practice and detachment. That we discussed in the 35th verse. And in the 36th verse, Krishna said that for one whose mind is controlled, for him self-realization is possible. And one whose mind is not controlled, it is impossible for him to have self-realization. So we see with the study of scripture, particularly Bhagavad Gita, what is the benefit that we gain? The first benefit that we gain is we are always in yoga. Whether other practitioner, either they are on the path of karma, jnana, dhyana, whether they are on yoga or not, but just by simply studying Bhagavad Gita, one is definitely on the path of bhakti yoga. One is spiritually connected and one is mentally strong. Very important. Unless and until one is mentally strong, there is no possibility of being in yoga. And also by study of Bhagavad Gita, one is emotionally balanced. Then the second advantage of study of Bhagavad Gita is that one becomes free from attachment, aversion, fear, anger, so many uh, anarthas that are there, the unwanted things, the misgivings which are there in the heart, they are completely washed away. And one gets a boost of confidence. Then, very importantly, one who's studying Bhagavad Gita, the another advantage is he becomes, as he becomes mentally strong and emotionally balanced, he has the strength to give up bad habits and bad association. Very important. And as he gives up bad habits and bad association, and by study of Bhagavad Gita, he becomes pure and he becomes free from sinful reactions. And finally, one can become happy and joyful. So every day we must cultivate this practice of studying Bhagavad Gita. As we hear that the doctor says an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but a shloka a day of Bhagavad Gita keeps you always happy and joyful. Why? Because as I mentioned, as I discussed, you will be free from your fears, your attachments, your anger, your disgust. Okay, let us do the Mangalacharan and we will see that how one can have freedom from fear and attachment and aversion and anger. We will see in this section, the section which is from 37th verse. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Gita Jnanam Shutam Neva Sadeva Abhyas Yogata. So the glory and the recommendation is that Gita Jnanam Shutam Neva. That one must hear this impeccable knowledge which is contained in Bhagavad Gita. And one after hearing, what one has to do? He has to Sadeva Abhyas Yoga. One has to apply. So the spirit behind hearing is the spirit of acceptance and the spirit of application. And if we do that, if we make this endeavor, then one is situated in pure devotional service. So Arjuna After hearing Krishna's version, Krishna's recommendation of making an endeavor, always making an endeavor, as we said, Sadeva Abhyasa Yogata, for practice and detachment. So Arjuna, in the 37th verse, he opens up with this question, which is very, very pertinent to all those practitioners who have not reached the stage of Nishtha. Those who have not reached the stage of being fixed in Bhakti. Why? Because in their heart, they have so many doubts. And these doubts, they do not allow the practitioner to become fixed in his practice. So, on behalf of all such practitioners who have not been fully convinced of what the Supreme Lord has been speaking so far in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, on behalf of all such aspirants and practitioners, puts a very relevant question in the 37th verse. Let us see this question. So, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter is beginning, Krishna is speaking. Throughout the 6th chapter, Krishna is speaking. Arjuna did not put any question. Arjuna was very patiently hearing. But now, after hearing, Arjuna is putting forth three questions. In fact, if you see in the next three verses, you'll try to take these three verses 37, 38, and 39. In all the three verses, Arjuna is putting forth, he is disclosing his heart. Whatever is the doubt which is there in his heart, he is putting forth to Krishna and inquiring from Krishna. Very, very relevant inquiry. He says, 37th verse, Ayati Shraddhayopeta Yoga Chalati Manasa Aprapyo Samsiddhim Ramgatim Krishna Gachati. So Arjuna opens his heart and he says, Ayati. So what will be the result of a practitioner who is not successful? Okay, you have given the path of yoga and you have given the recommendation that one must endeavor, one must practice, and one must detach. But what about that person who makes a little endeavor, who does a little bit of practice, and who also exhibits a little bit of detachment, but he does not continue? Why? But he does this endeavor, or he attempts this path with Shraddhayopeta, with faith. He is not an imposter. Previously, Krishna talked about an imposter. What did Krishna say in an imposter? Mithyachari. But he's not an imposter. He, on his part, made an endeavor. He did a little bit of practice. And he also exhibited a little bit of detachment. But he could not continue. He started with faith. Why he could not continue? Because of yoga chalati manasaha. He fell from the path because of his mind, manas. And what is the character of the mind? Is chalati, like chanchala, which is always flickering and which is always deviating. So with faith, he started on the path of practice, this path of yoga, which you were recommending, the path of bhakti yoga, or even the path of jnana yoga, or even the path of karma yoga, or even the path of ashtanga yoga, whatever you have recommended, my dear Lord. an aspirant began with faith, but due to the uncontrolled mind, the restless and the fickle mind, the mind deviated him and degraded him from this path. So because the mind distracted, deviated, and degraded him, aprapya yoga samsiddhi. Prapya means to achieve, and aprap means to uh, fail to achieve. So he is failing to achieve yoga samsiddhi. He does not attain the perfection of the yoga. For such a practitioner, for such an aspirant who began his endeavor, his practice, and his detachment with faith, Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. What will be the outcome, my dear sir? What will be the result? Where will he land? Verse is clear? Many times we see in students, and even those who have passed out from being student, they have this very serious doubt in their mind. Not only the doubt, they have this paradox that if we start on this path, but if we do not succeed, like many times we see these students, they join IARI, but they have very much doubt in their heart whether they will get job or not. Where is the doubt? If you study, if you do what is desired to be done, why you will not get job? But this insecurity threat is so much in their heart. They are all the time thinking, when they are in school, they are thinking how to get into college. Do you see the psyche of the people in this world? You evaluate even if ourselves. When we are in school, what are we thinking? When we will be able to get out of this school and be in college. Why? Because in school there are more restrictions. In college, there is more liberty. We can enjoy. And when we come to college, are we able to enjoy? We start thinking how to get out of college. Why? Because if we get out of college, I can be in job, or I can be my own, I can be self-employed. I will start. When will I start earning? Because the thought is that if I earn, I can be happy. So he wants to get out of college. Why? To be able to earn. So all the time that element of thought, and the thought which is imbued with doubt is there. And then while in college, he is so insecure. He is always thinking, whether will I get the job or not, whether I will remain unemployed, what will happen to me. He keeps hopping. He takes this exam, A exam, B exam, C exam. Bank exam bhi denge. They will take the bank exams also. They will give the IFS exam also. Some will try IAS also. Many ways they will, This is what the mind does. See, Arjuna is diagnosing it very clearly that yoga chalati manasa. If you have put focus, if you have your destination fixed, then put your energy in achieving that destination. Don't get deviated or distracted. But Arjuna says, this is the nature of the mind. So what about those who have begun the practice of yoga? See, it's not talking about only bhakti yoga. It's talking about all kinds of transcendence. Those who have taken to the process, but they get deviated, distracted, and degraded from the path. So, Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati, what will happen to them? Will they become, completely useless and hopeless in a hopeless situation? A very important question. So, it will address all our doubts and all our insecurities, and particularly for those who are practicing the path of Krishna consciousness. So, Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist?" Talking about transcendentalist. Those who are taken to the path of self-realization, spiritual practice. Who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith. Very important. An element of faith is there. But who later desist due to worldly mindedness. That means due to his attraction toward the sense enjoyment or toward the worldly things, he gets distracted or he later desists and does not attain perfection in the mysticism. So this is the question. Quote unquote, most of us, we have this question in our heart always burning. हमारा क्या होगा? What will happen to us? Okay. So Prabhupada says the path of self-realization is described in the Bhagavad Gita. The path of self-realization can be either by performing prescribed action, that is karma yoga, or by cultivation of knowledge from the scriptures, that is jnana yoga. Or here the recommendation is by focusing one's mind and attention on the Supreme, which is the Dhyana Yoga or the Ashtanga Yoga. The basic principle of self-realization is knowledge. That the living entity is not this material body, but is different from it. And that is happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. So the most important aspect of any path of progress in the transcendental path is knowledge. What is the knowledge? Knowledge means, what does knowledge give? Knowledge gives us the wisdom to decide what to do and what not to do. And the most important thing is to understand that we are not this temporary material body, or we are not this unstable mind. One is beyond both. Both are material and both are temporary. But one is a spirit soul. So you see, all the desires and all the actions or the attachments of the mind and the aversions of the mind are based on this aspect of what we identify ourselves. If we identify ourselves with body, then there are desires in the mind to enjoy through the body. And if we identify ourselves based on knowledge, this knowledge is there in Bhagavad Gita, with the spirit soul, then what is the desire? What is the desire? Pranam? Become a little more attentive. Yeah. If we identify ourselves with body, then the desire is to enjoy through the body. But if we identify ourselves with spirit soul, then what should be the desire?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Prabhuji, service.
Yeah. The desire is our whole faculty of thinking, willing, and feeling is to serve. Because that is how the soul can experience happiness and joy. The Prabhupada is saying that the living entity is not this material body, but is different from it. And his happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. And how one can come to this platform? When he is situated in knowledge. So Krishna is revealing this knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. These are transcendental, beyond both body and mind. Self-realization is sought by the path of knowledge, by the practice of, that is called Jnana Yoga, by the practice of eightfold system, that is called the Ashtanga Yoga, what we are discussing here, or by Bhakti Yoga, by performing devotional service. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of the living entity. What is the constitutional position of the living entity? That he is spirit soul, he is eternal. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. One has to realize. The word is very deep. It is not that one has to have information. So if we have this knowledge, then there will be transformation. If we have only information, then nothing will change. So if we have realization, that means there will be transformation. One will apply Bhagavad Gita, that means one will live according to the recommendation. One has to live and lead his own life as per the recommendation given here, Bhagavad Gita. That the constitutional is position of the living entity, that he is spirit soul. His relationship with God, which is eternal. And the relationship with this material world is always temporal. Everything in this material world is temporal. It has a beginning, and of course it will have an end. It cannot continue. And the activities whereby he can re-establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfection stage of Krishna consciousness. So three things. One is knowledge. Second is, based on knowledge, one should perform action. That is what they, that the activities where they can re-establish the lost link. Based on knowledge, one should perform action. So that is the third chapter, is action, karma yoga. Fourth chapter is knowledge. And what is the fifth chapter? Actions based on knowledge. That is karma yoga and Krishna consciousness. So these three things are very important. And then one can achieve the highest perfectional state of Krishna consciousness of perfection. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. If one continues, he may reach in one lifetime. If something is left, he will be given the opportunity to complete it in the next life. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Where in the second chapter Lord asserted this? All of you should be knowing. Ganesh, where in the second chapter Krishna has, Arjuna is asking a question which Krishna has already answered.
Swalpa, that was, if you do
Cannot-
little endeavor.
Yeah. 2.20.
2.20.
Neha abhikrama nasho asti. Na iha abhikrama nasho asti. Abhikrama means there is no loss. Or there is no diminution. Abhikrama means diminution and nasha means loss. So in this path, Krishna has already assured in the 40th verse in the second chapter, Naha iha abhikrama nasho asti. Pratyavayu na vidyate. Why? Because swalpam apiyal asya dharmasya. This is what Arjuna is asking here. Ayati means, Krishna Thakur says, that one who has made little endeavor. Very little endeavor. Where little endeavor? Both in practice and detachment. Krishna has already given the answer that even if you have made little endeavor in this path, swalpamapi yasya dharmasya rahete mahato bhaya, one will be saved from the greatest danger. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers great hope for deliverance. Out of these three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it is the most direct method of God realization. How? Because one directly engages his mind and senses in the service of it. And if one serves the Lord, one receives direct protection from the Lord. What is the protection? He does not allow his devotee to fall or to degrade. Krishna controls the mind and senses of his surrendered devotee. Does not allow him to fall. You see the question. See, Arjuna was not willing to fight. Arjuna wanted to gave up the battle, but Krishna did not allow him. Krishna gave him the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was able to clear the confusion that was created because of the mind. Very important too. If we have Bhagavad Gita in our life, then there is no question of any confusion. And if we do not have Bhagavad Gita in our life, then of course we have our uncontrolled mind. Isn't it? If you don't have Bhagavad Gita, you have the dictatorship of your uncontrolled mind. And the mind will force you to do what is going to degrade, deviate, and destroy you. So to be doubly assured, Prabhupada is saying to be doubly assured. So Krishna is already assured. Why Arjuna is asking? Because to be doubly assured. Many times we see when we feel that something is of very importance or value, then we check many times. Like you have very valuable, you have a lot of money and you have locked the locker. But what do you see? After even having locked the locker, what do? You try to pull, you try to shake it and see whether it is properly locked or not. You try to see somebody will not be able to, take away your valuables. It's very valuable. One is giving his life, one is giving his time, one is giving his energy in this path. So Arjuna wants to be doubly assured that he should not leave any scope for ambiguity. So he wants to be doubly assured. Like we check our lock 2 times. If we get a new car, we lock it and we check 2 times. You've seen many times. With the remote, we lock the car. But if it is a new car, he will try to pull and open after even using the remote to check whether it is locked or not. So some thief may not come and take it away. Yeah. So similarly, Krishna has already answered. But Arjuna wants to be doubly assured. Arjuna is assured, but people in Kali Yuga, they are very insecure. In their heart, they are so insecure that they do not have faith. Although this verse says that those who begin with faith, but most of the people, their faith is very fragile. So Arjuna wants to be doubly assured. Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement. To confirm his former statement. I remember many years back, I and someone else who met a big industrialist, a big businessman, and he promised to help the other person. And when we were coming back, at least 3 times he checked with me. प्रभु जी आपको क्या लगता है वो जो कह रहे हैं वो करेंगे? I said yes. जब उन्होंने कहा है तो वो करेंगे वरना वो बोलते क्यों? Okay. Then the conversation went in some other direction. After another 5-10 minutes, he came back to the same question. प्रभु जी आपको लगता है वो अपना पैसा खर्च करेंगे जो बात उन्होंने कही है वो करेंगे? So I started to laugh. I said, यार करेंगे तभी तो बोला है. But here the Kali Yuga Jeev is one of the constitutional position of a Kali Yuga Jeev is he's always doubtful. He's always in suspicion. He's always in confusion. He is always paralyzed. How? By his mind. He does not have that confidence. I want to speak of confidence in the Supreme Lord's word. So Arjuna is representing the Kali Yuga people and he is inquiring again. One may sincerely accept the path of self-realization, Shraddhayo Pariyopeta, but the process of cultivation of knowledge and the practice of eightfold yoga system are generally very difficult for this age. It has been for every age. Nothing is easy. Therefore, despite constant endeavor, one may fail for many reasons. First of all, one may not be sufficiently serious about following the process. This is the foremost reason of one not progressing or failing. That one is not sufficiently serious. That means what? He is lacking faith. He is not having confidence. Or he thinks still that other things are more important and more valuable. So he is not sufficiently serious about the process. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare a war on the illusionary energy. So consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusionary energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. So that is there. That is always there. You know, in war, what is said? In love and war, everything is fair. You heard that? How to win over the enemy? Sam, dam, dand, bhed. You apply everything. You apply every step. If you cannot win him, make friends with him. Simple. Why? To give him deceit. Or you try to bribe him. I was told, one litigation, big litigation, very, very big litigation, very high stakes. So the two parties. So one of the parties whose arguments and ground is weak, what he did? He tried to bribe the lawyer of the other party. He said कि अगर आप हमारा साथ देंगे तो हम आपके मुंह मांगी रकम देंगे. So all these attempts are there. So Maya will also test us. If you are trying to go beyond Maya, the illusionary energy, don't think that she will not test you. There is test for everyone in life at every stage. But in the practice of bhakti, one should not have doubt because Krishna protects. Provided you are sincere and serious. To the extent we are sincere and serious, we automatically get Krishna's protection. The Prabhupada is saying that she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. Most of the common allurement that we see, that he gets some worldly gains. And he's absorbing. Then he forgets Krishna consciousness. He gets a good job. He gets a good husband or a wife. Or he got some foreign posting. Or, any such worldly thing. And he's very absorbing. And he thinks because he's misidentifying. He's not identifying himself with the spirit soul. He's identifying with himself with the body. So as soon as he gets bodily allurement or the opportunity to enjoy through the body, he will be absorbed. He will be very much entangled in trying to pursue that path. Then he'll forget about Krishna consciousness or the path of perfection or the path of transcendence. The Prabhupada says the conditioned soul is already allured. The conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material nature. And there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental discipline. This is called Yoga Chalati Manasa. This allurement is coming where? From the mind. Because the mind is very much still programmed to think that he will be happy through worldly gains. Means sense enjoyment, sense pleasures, sense gratification. Any opportunity of sense gratification comes, he is yoga chalati manasa. He gets easily deviated, distracted, and degraded. He falls down. Deviation from the transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the result of deviation from the path of civilization. So Arjuna is asking a definite question. Even if he is deviated, even if he gets distracted, deviated, and degraded, Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. What is the outcome? What is the destination? What is the Gati? What Prabhupada says here, Gati is just destination only. That what happens to him? Is he lost? Or is he in no man's land? You understand no man's land? Huh? Neither on water nor on land. Where is he hung? Next question Arjuna asks. One question Arjuna is repeating in repeated ways, you see. Normally we see in one word Arjuna asks many questions. But here it is different. Arjuna is emphasizing so much this question that he is asking in a different way again the same question. What is he asking here? Kashtinno bhaya vibhratas chinna brahma iva nashyati apratishto mahabhaho vimudha brahmanapati. Kashtinno ubhaya vibhrantas. So, is it not that who is yoga chalati manasa, one who has been deviated by his mind? Vibhrantas means who is deviated from the path. Which path? Ubhayo. If Krishna is using the Arjuna is using the word ubhayo. And chinna abhrama iva nashyati. Chinna means that he is into pieces. He is completely shattered or is torn. Like a Abram means the crowd. You see, if you see the clouds in the sky, the clouds, they move in a group. And sometimes you see, a smaller group, so you see a small cloud. But if you see a bigger group, you see a big cloud. And what happens? They always move in a group. They move together. And what happens is sometimes one of the cloud who divides himself or who deviates from one of the group, what he has to do? He has to go and join the other group. Get the point? Then is safe, is secure. But here what Arjuna is asking, that one starts the practice, but what happened is vibhratas, but he is deviated or he is distinguished and he leaves. So he's comparing like people those who are in the worldly mindedness, karmis, who are gross materialists who was trying to just live a life of self-gratification. So if a practitioner leaves this path, and what is the other group of cloud? Those who are transcendentalists. But he is not able to join the other group. He is not able to get connected with the transcendentalist group. So what will be his position? He is cut off from where he was and he has not linked to where he wanted to be. So where is he left? Where is he? He has no resting place. He has no shelter. So this is the answer. O mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud? A riven cloud. A riven cloud means the cloud which has left one of the group. He has been divided, but he has not been able to join the other group. So such a person with no position in any sphere, many times we say, Maya Milina Ram. What will happen to me? If you ask me to practice this path of transcendence, you say that you wake up early, you chant Hare Krishna, don't engage in all this sinful activity of meat eating, liquor, intoxication, gambling, speculation, and no illicit sex. If you ask me to give up all this, the worldly pleasure, And if I cannot become a sadhu like you, then what will happen to me? I am lost. Huh? I will not be able to enjoy Maya, nor will I achieve Lord Ram. So I am hung. I am hung in between. I am not able to see, the tendency is very deep rooted, is to enjoy. Either if you can give me higher pleasure, then I will practice the spiritual path. And if I don't get the spiritual path, let me continue try to enjoy the material path. So what will happen if I disassociate, if I cut from the material part, but I don't connect to the spiritual part? Very important question. Most of the practitioners who are the neophyte stage, this fear is so heavy. What happens is ultimately they feel so insecure. Spiritual तो हम बन नहीं सकते, materially बने रहते. So all such doubting souls, all such practitioners who are not fixed up. So this is very relevant question Arjuna is asking. Apratishto Mahabaho Vimudho. He is already bewildered. Brahmanapati. He is on the path of Brahmana. What is Brahmana? Is the spirit soul. This path is very beautiful. You see the verses. The previous verse said that yoga chalati manasa, and here it is saying that Vimudha Brahmanapati. He is a foolish person, but he has taken to the process of transcendence. He does not achieve samsiddhi. So what will be his destination? Again, you see, in a very intelligent way, Arjuna, the mood question is the same. But he is raising it from a different view of angle. That what will happen to me? Or what will happen to me? So you see, Arjuna is putting forth this doubt. There are two ways to progress, Prabhupada says. Those who are materialist have no interest in transcendence. They're called karmis or bhogis. Or rather, they cannot be bhogis, they become only rogis. Because there is no question of bhog. Bhokta is Bhoktaram Yagitapusha. Bhokta is only Krishna. If one tries to take the artificial position, what happens? He suffers. So he becomes a rogi. He is diseased. In a diseased condition only, the conditioned soul is trying to become an enjoyer. Not in a healthy condition. Therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development. So for those who are identifying themselves with the body, they have only one goal. What is the goal? Economic development. If economic development is there, if there is more resource, if there is more money, one can enjoy more. So they are interested in material development, advancement by economic development, or in promotion to the higher planets by appropriate work. So there are also two types. One, those who are living like just animals, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And the others are little smarter, little intelligent. What they do, they try to take advantage of scriptures. But the intent is the same. So they use the scriptures to elevate to the heavenly planet so that they can enjoy more profusely or more profoundly. So this is on the one side. So there are two types of progress. This is on the material side. When one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so-called material happiness. Why so-called? Because actually there is material and happiness, both are not possible. Whenever it is material, it is only suffering. And when it is happiness, it has to be only spiritual. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, when he apparently loses both ways, in other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position, like a riven cloud. Chinna. Chinna means one who has been scattered or torn. He has no position, he's like a riven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins the big one. Prabhupada gives this analogy here. But if it cannot join a big one, so materialist is a small cloud and spiritualist is a big cloud. The one who tries to detach from the small section of materialist and he wants to join the big league of transcendental base. But it cannot join the big one, then it is blown away by the wind. What is the wind? What is the wind compared to? Devadatta?
Yes,
You're hearing?
Guruji.
Yeah. Yeah, please answer. What is this wind compared to?
Wind is pralovan of Maya, Prabhuji, means when
No.
one is.
Be specific. We've discussed this for last almost more than 45 minutes. We are discussing on this only. What is the wind compared to? Who will answer? Yeah, from IARI, new students. Yeah, very good. Go ahead.
So wind is distraction.
Of the wind is compared to the restless mind.
Distraction.
You see, Arjuna gave analogy. Arjuna said that I can control the raging wind, but I can control the mind. So here is blown away by the wind. What is the wind? Is the distraction coming in the mind in the form of all these doubts. Whether if I give up my worldliness, if I give up my friends, although they are all sinful, they are all into all four sinful activity. If I give up my such a social network, or if I give up my such habits, what will happen to me? So Arjuna is asking that it deviates from the small cloud, but cannot join the big one. Then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in the vast, right? The Brahmana Pati is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be the spiritual essence. Part and parcel of the Supreme Lord who is manifested as Brahman. So very important is in the path is to have proper knowledge. And to have this knowledge, everyday study is must. Because again and again, the mind is going to play its part. What is the part of the mind? Is to deviate and distract us, degrade us, and to make us fall down. So if you do not have this practice and strength of the spiritual knowledge, how can you stop this deviation and distraction of the mind? If you don't read Shastra. Because the Shastra, as we said, it strengthens our intelligence. So how we can overcome the distraction of the mind? By applying this spiritual intelligence. So this spiritual intelligence is the path of Brahmana Pati, is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself. That is through knowledge, oneself to be spiritual, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Lord Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And therefore, one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendental. That Krishna will answer in the 7th chapter. Mam evaya prapadyante maya metam taranti. So such deviation, distraction of the mind will not take place. Why? Because the mind will be controlled by Krishna, not by Maya. But what is the process? What is the position? Is one must surrender to Krishna. To reach this goal of life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births. What is Brahman and Paramatma realization? Through the process of Jnana and also through the process of Dhyana. Through Gyan, cultivation of Brahman, and through Dhyan, one realizes the Paramatma feature. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, Ityadi. Then the other question, 29. The question is same, but in another way Arjuna is putting forth again. So what Arjuna is very honest. Arjuna is not duplicitous. For a person to progress in spirituality, the most essential feature is simplicity. Simplicity of the heart. One may be having all the misgivings in the heart, or he may be having unprecedented material desires and aspirations. Does not matter. Bhakti is very powerful. But he should not be deceitful. So you see, Arjuna is very honest. He's very simple-hearted. How he says, Etan me samsayam Krishna chetum arhasi asheshata vadanya samsayasya chetu nahi upapadyate. So Arjuna finally confesses that this is to me my samshaya, my doubt. And Arjuna is saying to Krishna, Chetum arhasi asheshata. Chetum means to dispel or to destroy. To completely destroy this doubt which is there in my heart. How to destroy? Asheshata. Completely. Not a trace of it should remain in mind. You completely destroy and dispel this doubt which is there in my heart. Why? Tvad anya samshaya asya. Tvad means you and anya means any other. Any other cannot remove this doubt which is there in my heart. So this is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. So Arjuna is very, very clear. He wants this doubt to be removed forever. This is not that Krishna is giving the solution, Krishna is removing the doubt. Again, we are accepting the verdict of our mind. No. If we receive Krishna's recommendation, or if we receive Krishna's clarification, then we should not put more value toward the mind speed. Then the person does not stand a chance to progress. Like, for instance, I'll give you a simple example. If you cannot solve a problem, you have a question, and you go and ask your subject teacher, and he or she gives you the solution or the answer. You don't know the answer. You don't have the knowledge or the skill or the learning to solve it. And when the teacher gives, you don't accept it. Then what is the possibility for you to progress? What is the possibility? Such soul. So that means that they are forcing themselves to suffer. And then they deserve to suffer. So Arjuna is very honest. He is saying, this is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. Why? Because I don't want to get into the same situation again. This situation from my life will be over forever. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So Arjuna completely dependent on Krishna. This is called faith. This is a sign of faith. Nishtha. That is why Krishna spoke to Arjuna only. He did not speak to anyone else. Because the preliminary element to understand Bhagavad Gita is to have faith in Krishna. Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past. They exist now in the present, and they continue to retain individual identity in the future. Which verse is this? Prabhupada is saying, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past, they exist now, and shall continue to retain individual identity in the future. That means the individual identity of the living entity of the Jiva can never be lost or compromised. Neither it happened, there is no history of it, and there is not going to be any future of it. And at present, everyone is individually distinct. What is the verse? Should be knowing Bhagavad Gita. You're studying, people are studying for so many years. Why it is not penetrating in the heart? At least theoretically, you should be knowing. Manoram Prabhu, which verse is this? We cannot be blank.
Krishna Prabhuji, it is there in 4th chapter when Krishna was.
No, it's not in the 4th chapter. Which verse you are referring in the 4th chapter? Prabhupada is saying in the beginning. Beginning is which chapter? 1 or 2? Then how you are jumping to the 4th chapter? And by the way, which verse you are thinking is speaking about this? All of you are flipping through the pages of Bhagavad Gita. You won't be able to find it like this. The conviction has to go in the heart. Studying for so many years, basic should be clear. Na tu eva ham jatu nasam, na chvam neme janadhipa, na chaiva na vishyama, sarve vayam atha param. This is 2nd chapter and 12th verse. This is from where Krishna starts to speak about the individuality and eternity of the soul. Both are never compromised. Neither the individuality, na chaiva, na bhavishyam. It was never lost in the past, and it will never cease in the future. Sarve vayam atha param. It is always there. Even after liberation from material entanglement, so he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Please come to the purport. Now Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentals. One who has begun, but he does not achieve success. No one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubt. This is very important. This faith Arjuna had. That Krishna is the final authority, the highest authority. And his answer, his verdict, or his statement is the final statement. There is nothing else to deliberate beyond what Krishna speaks. Why? Prabhupada is giving the reason. Because Krishna, he knows past, present, and future perfectly. What are the qualities of the Supreme Lord? That is omniscient. He is always omniscient. He is in full knowledge of the past, of the future, and of course, he knows the present. He knows past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotee alone can know. Prabhupada says, what is what? And a very poetic way Prabhupada is expressing, Krishna and his devotees alone can know what is what. Okay. So these are the doubts which are there, the heart of most of the practitioners who have not achieved the stage of Nishtha, who have not come to the stage of faith. Whose faith is not been fixed. So what they experience unsteadiness. And many times they doubt that let us better leave. But the answers are very, very emphatic. Arjuna has put his part, and next time we will see what will be Krishna's recommendation or reply. Even to such people who are poor practitioners, whose practice has not been with determination, who had little faith, who came to this path, practiced little, but because of their uncontrolled and deviated mind, they became degraded. So how Krishna will treat them? Very important. How Krishna, what kind of position they hold when they are lost from the materialistic side, but they have remained unsuccessful to join the spiritual path. Where are they? What is their position? Okay. So I'll stop here. I think it is nearing to 9. I have 5 minutes. But we can have as many as 5 questions. Arjuna had this question and he put forward immediately without any hesitation in his heart. I saw one hand coming up, but it is down now. Someone raised the hand. Okay, if you have any question or any doubt, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in 39th verse, in purport, in second last line, it was mentioned that no one can know Krishna, but Krishna's pure devotees can know him.
Prabhupada is saying now. You read the next statement. No
Yeah,
one
next
can know Krishna.
statement is-
What is the next statement? Read.
Next statement is Krishna and Krishna conscious devotee alone can know what is what. Yeah. So it is in regard of that only. Okay.
So because Krishna reserves the right, he is only revealed to whom? Krishna says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, Yogamaya Samavritam, Mudoyam Nabhijanat, Mamebhyo Paramabhyam. So many times Krishna is saying, Avjananti Mamuda, Manushim Tanam Ashrita, Param Bhavam Ajananto, Mam Ajamanavayam. But so many times Krishna also says, Bhaktya tu ananya shakya, Aham evam vidu Arjuna, Gyatum drishtum ta tatvena, Pravishtum cha parantapa. Gyatum, you can know me, drishtum, you can see me. What only do you know me and see me? You can enter into my mysteries. Pravishtum cha parantapa. So those who are accepting the recommendation of Krishna, Krishna gives them, Krishna reveals to them. Yesham sapata yuktanam, vajatam priti purvakam, jadami buddhi yogam. Why he gives that intelligence, the spiritual intelligence? Yena mam upiyankite, so that they can come and reach me. How we can reach Krishna without knowing him? So Krishna reveals. Krishna cannot be realized by one's own effort. So if one depends on Krishna, you see, in this army of Duryodhana, what happened? They had such big generals like Bhishma. He had the benediction that no one can kill him. He could decide on his own But he was killed. There was Dronacharya, the teacher who gave knowledge to all this. What were Arjuna and Karna and Duryodhana and Bhima in front of Drona? Like toys. Now what happened? He was also killed. Why? Because the difference was that they were not on the side of Krishna. They were on the opposite side. When one is on the side of Krishna, one can know Krishna. Because Krishna reveals to his devotee. And one is not a devotee of Krishna, then he may do whatever it is. Prabhupada is saying, he knows what is what. Very poetic and a very coded way. He says, what is what. That means he knows what is to be done and how it is to be done, and how to achieve success. Okay. Anyone else? Ask us. There are so many doubts in the heart, but we want to remain with the doubt. Don't want to remove it. That is the problem. Don't remain with the doubt. Remove the doubt so that you can progress. The big obstacles, stumbling block. They don't allow the practitioner to move ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Acha, unmute. Ganesh. Okay. The phone that you have given her is muted, but the phone which is with you is unmuted.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
In this paragraph, it is written that it is future of
Which-
unsuccessful
Verse-
transcendentalist. Means
Verse number? We discussed
last-
verses. 39.
last paragraph only.
39. Okay.
Unsuccessful transcendentalist means I have heard that Krishna says that मैं अपने भक्त का कभी पतन नहीं होने देता. मतलब
Very good.
इस spiritual path पे कभी कोई failure तो नहीं है ना, मतलब surety है इसमें. So why it is said that unsuccessful transcendentalist?
Unsuccessful in a sense that he could not continue. He was deviated by his mind. He could not continue to pursue the practice. So he's unsuccessful or not?
Not yet, but I believe that Krishna will let me
So
once.
we will find. That is what I am saying. Like you join IERI. Okay. I'll give you another example to relate to what Arjuna is asking. You join IERI and you studied for 1 year and 2 years. But for some reason, you had to leave IERI. People join here for PhD, most of these students. IERI is known for PhD. He could not complete his thesis, he could not submit his thesis. So is he successful or unsuccessful?
Not at all unsuccessful. May succeed in another path. Maybe.
A PhD, is he successful or unsuccessful? Be clear.
Unsuccessful.
Very simple. So Krishna has already given the path, na? That what is the path? Krishna has described from verse number 10 till 32. What is the path of dhyana and how to achieve success in that? So Arjuna is saying that one takes to this process. That is what Arjuna is asking in the 37th verse. That one with faith takes to this process. But because of his mind, he is deviated. So what happens to such a practitioner? What is the fate of such a practitioner? Arjuna said, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and does not attain perfection in the mysticism? So I'm giving you an example, like someone joins IER, right, to pursue PhD, but he does not submit a thesis. So what is the result of all his endeavor?
Success.
Huh?
Failure.
He will not get PhD degree. Na? Will he get PhD degree? By claiming that I have been here for 4 years and I have spent so much of time in the lab and so on and so forth, so much was done. But is that all sufficient to get him a PhD degree? He will not get it. But here we will see what Krishna will give the degree. So that is it. In worldly affairs, even if you perfect, as the life is over, it will be over. You have done PhD degree in this life. Next life, can you come and say that last life I did PhD degree? So I will not do PhD, I will do higher than that. Anyone will accept? No one will accept. No one will accept. So in the material world, any material accomplishment, it has a beginning and it has an end. But in the spiritual part, in the transcendental path, what is the pati? What is the path? Manoram, which path is that? Let me see how attentively you are hearing. Which path is this?
It is non-perishable.
I am asking that Sanskrit word. You have to dive deep now. For after 10 years, you cannot say all these answers. I am giving you a course which is 10 times deeper than Bhakti Shastri. Which path is this? Who will answer? Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Brahmana Pati. It is the path of transcendence. There is no failure. In this path of transcendence, there is no failure. That means there is all success. It may be sooner or later. And Krishna will assure that. That we will see in the following verses, which will come in the next one. Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Krishna did not tell Arjuna that you go, I will fight on your behalf and you will win the war. No. Krishna wants us to fight. Krishna wants us to make the endeavor. Krishna wants us to do the practice. Then he will protect. Then he will give all protection. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. The Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai God Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Pranab Prabhu, just call me after this. Kindly
Okay,
call.
brother.